righty. It is Thursday. It's time for the drop. I'm Ruben and Quinn, guys. That's Quinn Bishop. We're Cactus Music World headquarters. And man, do we have a list.
We got a good list. And I'm just going to remind everybody, traditionally during the summer, the week after 4th of July, releases really kind of slow down. Not so anymore, man. Everybody's trying to catch up and get music out that they worked on for the last 3 or 4 years. And, you know, we're doing that. And our word to watch for is 10th. During
10th? 10th. Let's do it.
We ready?
The password is 10th.
All right. I know Ruben is a fan of this artist. We've talked about her on the drop many times. This is PJ Harvey, Poly Jeans, brand new album. And this is her 10th LP. It's after it's been 7 years since she's had a studio record. The last one won. She's the only person to ever win the Mercury Prize twice.
Get out. Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And her last record debuted #1 in the UK. Now this record is supposed to be I'm sure it's not like.
I've just heard the one track and it's definitely PJ Harvey.
Yeah. And but the reviews are kind of saying it's like quieter or calmer. I mean, I don't know, quieter, just more soothing than, you know. There's always a little bit of that going on, you know.
But she could be abrasive.
She can be, but I think peace is the word I keep reading in here. Peace has come.
Peace has come to the Paula Jean camp. All right.
Always good to get a new album from award-winning.
She looks exactly the same too. If that's a current photograph, I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, poet, visual artist, musician.
Yeah,
I mean, she's
incredible.
She's really great.
Yeah.
And she's back.
She's back, people.
Maybe we'll get a tour out of that. That would be great. Been a while. Been a long time. So Led Zeppelin would say. Next up, brand new record from Local Natives.
Good band.
And you know, I keep reading about in the course of just kind of reading what the official line is on the records, and then I listen to it and try to like see what my takeaway is. There's just so much of this musicians trying to sort out the pandemic and where it took them and what they did. And, you know, especially since a lot of these people are pretty extrovert. I mean, not all of them are, but, you know, they're used to being on stage and doing stuff.
Right.
And this one seems like this record is like the band trying to manage the highs and lows of like what happened. Cause I guess several of them had children during the pandemic, which is obviously a big high, but then you can't share that with people. So it's a big low. It seems like, you know, they were trying to work that out, and it's on this record. Now, this record is not embossed, but it is. It is die cut,
we call it a die cut, yeah, absolutely.
It is die cut, brother. I'm always excited when I see the die cut.
Yeah,
if you slide the sleeve out, what does the other side look like? You might get a
secret toy surprise.
Yeah, but they have a ton of fans. I know that everybody's waiting on that, and that's indie store exclusive.
Yeah,
colored vinyl.
I liked them the first time I heard them. You know, I thought, man, who is this? And I had just gotten Sirius Satellite, and I remember Local Natives. I can't remember what that one track was. I used to play the hell out of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, their first record was a big record.
Yeah,
big record, and they managed to maintain it too.
Are they from the UK?
No, they're from California.
Okay.
California.
Cali.
All right, another favorite female artist here on the drop, new Neko Case. And what this is a best of. This is, what is this thing called? This is Wild Creatures. And I would say that accurately describes her music. And I don't know if you're aware that she loves us on social media. Like
does she really?
She
fantastic.
Loves their dogs. I mean, we did a personal appearance with her one time that was just over the top. Super great. She's wonderful. But I love this thing. It's a 23 track best of. And I'll tell you, she's an artist for me. There's a couple of records that I love top to bottom, but generally for me, she's an artist that I just love tracks by her. Like she's got like this 3 or 4 songs every record that are just like,
right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
For sure. Yeah.
And this kind of gathers them all in one spot.
Together. Yeah.
And hopefully this sets up her next studio record for the lovely Canadian recording artist. And this is unlimited edition colored vinyl, though I don't think it says which one. But
no, I think
just for the indie stores.
You just have to guess.
She always does something cool for the indie stores. But this is, as is often said, you start here.
Yeah.
You can start with the hits.
Good starting point.
As selected by her.
I love that.
Now this is a really cool record. Let's see. Oh, I almost skipped the.
Come on now.
I know we got a lot of ladies here. Kelly Clarkson. This is her album Chemistry,
and
this is her 10th album. Oddly enough, her 10th album.
Once again, 10th.
She was. I always forget that she was the first American.
She was the first American.
She was the first. And I think kind of me tell me, because it's more
I covered a lot of
entertainment
that.
than
Yeah.
music, but you covered all of that.
Yep.
And I always feel like she was always kind of written off as like this kind of middle of the road kind of
Won a singing contest.
right.
Yeah. She can belt it out.
I love her karaoke thing. It's so cool. Like where she picks just one song and just like nails it.
Yeah.
Blows everybody away with it on her show. And of course, she had a tumultuous year, as a lot of people do. And I think this I feel like her later record, she's really kind of added a depth to what she does, which is something that people really were critical of her prior. So, but she's cool, man. She can sing.
And I think she's at that point in her career where they're maybe like, oh, I used to like her or whatever, or why is she doing a talk show or I don't, that whatever, she's at the point in her career where she doesn't care about that kind of business.
And that's
she's
part
super
of her appeal.
Yes, she's super.
You can tell she doesn't.
She's totally down to earth. And I think I told this story before because when they launched the show, they invited some press, so we got a chance to sit on set with her and just talk.
Oh yeah,
and shoot whatever. And she wanted to talk about music and stuff like that. And she had a really cool outfit on. I said, I love your outfit. And she goes, I don't get clothes. They just tell me what to wear. It's like most people wouldn't tell you that.
Oh yeah, I got that,
these are Gucci. Whatever. She's like, they just bring this out and put it on me.
I have friends with Sony and that had worked with her since the beginning, and they would. If it ever came up, like, who's your favorite artist work? She's always top of the list because she's so cool.
Yeah. So, she's super sweet.
So good to have a new record by her. And I like this artist a lot. This is a cool record. This is a new Michelle Indigo cello.
When I saw the list, I was so excited for this.
This is the record is Omnichord Real Book. This is her Blue Note debut, which was a lifelong dream of hers. She was a child of jazz musicians. So sadly, both her parents had passed, so they didn't really get to see her record for Blue Note. But I know that it's such a huge thrill. And of course, this is jazz influence, but man, she plays everything. She's funk, rock, everything.
Yeah. Solo artist herself.
And the title is so cool. You might be wondering the Omnichord Real Book.
I'll take a crack at it.
So you know what an omnichord is?
Yes.
Yeah. So omnichord's like a very rudimentary drum machine, which writers would use for accompaniment to help them, to kind of build songs around.
Practice, whatever.
So during the pandemic, she would had a place in like her attic where she would go and sit with the omnichord that had been gifted to her. And omnichords are they're not like high tech.
It's a very basic device.
It's
a lot of knobs.
It's
analog. I don't think they're digital. I'm pretty sure they're not digital.
And so she would write around that. And then she also found, after her father died, she found, all her dad's real books. And a real book is
jazz standards.
Jazz standards. You might call it a fake book. So it's basically got the melody.
I thought there was a real book and a fake book, weren't they? Or is it the same thing?
I believe so. Well, I know that the real book is like, hey, this is the chord structure.
These are the standards.
Melody.
This is how
you got to go play it. So you can sit in and play with anybody.
Yeah, because that's how you got sessions, or live gigs if they were picking up a drummer or a pianist or you played vibes, whatever. It's like that's where those are your charts.
So the challenge with this record, if you listen to this record, and I urge you to do it, the cool thing about hers, so it was all written around the omnichord, but it slowly, upon building and making a record, the omnichord is no longer but it peaks out from time to time. So listen for that. But she's a great singer, great musician. Check her out. It's good to have her back with a new record. And this is next up. This is such a cool record. This is a duet record made before with Bobby Nelson and Amanda Shires. This is a duets record. The artwork on this is great. It looks like 1940 or something, right? Though there's not a shortage of stickers.
Very cool, man.
But this is the great Bobby Nelson, Willie Nelson's little sister, who played in his band since the early 70s. Unbelievably great piano player. Amanda Shires.
We love Amanda Shires.
Darling of Americana, and she's a great writer and singer herself.
Yes, she is.
And this is them pairing up on some of their lifelong favorite tunes that they bonded over, and it is a really cool moment in time that you're glad that it happened. Also in Texas Blue Bonnet.
Blue and white vinyl.
Yeah, you can only get this record in Texas. But you got Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground by Willie. You got Summertime.
Sure.
With Willie's actually on
that.
The
Rainbow's on there. Waltz Across Texas. Come on, man.
It's a cool record.
All the good stuff's on here.
Cool record.
I love that.
And here's an interesting one. People have been asking about this record for a long time. There's been a lot written about this artist. And his debut album is finally out. This is Tommy Prine, This Far South. And yes, you would be correct. This is John Prine's son.
Yeah.
And he has an interesting story. You know, he would tour with his father and basically like do kind of tour management stuff and like run the merch table. And then he would get on stage and do a song with John towards the end, one of his hits or whatever. Yeah. And by all accounts, I think it's a pretty strong debut album. I mean, it's so hard to follow in those footsteps of one of the greatest American songwriters. Yeah. But, you know, for a 27-year-old guy that's really been honing his craft, I think it's great. And yes, there's moments where you can really hear John in his voice and in the lyric and subject matter. So if you're a fan of John at all, you got to check it out. It's cool. It's always interesting to hear where those things go. And I'm one of those people. I'm usually somewhat dismissive of those circumstances and those kinds of records. I kind of have a like father like hell attitude, but this is pretty great. Sure. Yeah. So check it out if you're a fan.
On 30 Tigers.
On 30 Tigers. Okay, man. We're closing the book on the new release segments of our program, and then we're going to move into our so popular reissues. Everybody waits around for the You guys going to get the reissues? Yeah.
Now I feel old. So I remember when this came out. Holy crap.
I do too. So this is one of my favorite records of that decade.
It's a great record.
A Desert Island disc for me.
And I think a lot of people either overlooked that record, they weren't exposed to that record, they couldn't pronounce the name of the band. Something happened.
I think that it was kind of too melodic for the time because this is when Pavement was hot. This is when Sonic Youth was hot and everything. And this is a Dutch band. This is Betty Severe. This is the album Palamine. And love this record when it came out. Carol Van Dyke's voice is totally terrific. For this 30th anniversary, 30th anniversary.
Isn't that crazy?
30th anniversary, they put a bonus 7-inch in there as well. But this has been, you know, but Matador was really.
I was about to say they had some incredible roster.
They
at the time.
were white hot, and this record just did not connect. And so they licensed this record from from across the pond and put it out for U.S. release. And, I knew a lot of people that loved it, but man, it just did not connect as much as the more dissonant.
And you're right. It was pop. It was you know,
but it was the
catchy,
sound.
It was melodic.
What I loved about it, it's the sound of 4 people in a room playing.
Exact 100%.
With no signal processing and just going for it. And it is really great. Very kind of VU inspired. I urge you to check if you've never heard this band.
It's on Transparent Orange Vinyl. And I guess Matador is doing a revisionist history segment.
That's funny.
That's a series. Cool, man.
The big song, if you wanted to listen to one song from this record, that song is Tomboy. Whew. Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, check that out.
Love it.
All right, and we got a hip hop record for you, the reissue. This is it just seems to be like a bottomless well of reissues of MF Doom records, and this is another record I wasn't familiar with. This is King Ghidorah. This is Take Me to Your Leader. I believe this is from 2003. So this is an alter ego record, and of course I love this. This credit is great. Written, arranged, and produced by the metal-fingered villain.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it was.
And obviously several cool, Godzilla movie references on here.
Yeah.
Because in the U.S., we knew the 3-headed monster as Monster Zero.
Yeah.
But Ghidorah was in the Japanese.
Y'all just got Zilla.
Back when Toho Studios was just blasting out these great movies with like some guy in a rubber suit crushing the Toy Cities. I would watch them I don't care what it was.
What would Saturday afternoon be without?
Dude, it was just in New York City. It used to be the $1 Million movie on like Sunday afternoon or whatever, and it was and you could every other week there was a good chance they were going to replay one of these Godzilla movies, and it was so good.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this. Gamora loves children.
No, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, Gamora Walrus. He loves children.
Was that Gamora or Mothra? Because they had the two little singing twins in the birdcage. Remember that? That was so weird, so strange. We really so strange.
We really went off script.
Sorry, MF Doom people are like, so what does it sound like now that you've talked about Godzilla for 20 minutes?
Okay,
sounds like MF Doom.
Back to something else here.
All
We
right.
have a reissue of this is the Electric
Janelle
Lady.
Monáe.
This is Janelle Monáe's second record, and this is a big record. So cool. You got a ton of the guest appearances alone.
Tell them.
You got Prince, you got Erykah Badu, you got Miguel, you got Esperanza Spalding,
Dear
and
God.
that was like when Esperanza started really kind of starting to get some attention as a great musician. This has been reissued on special clear vinyl for the Atlantic Records 75th anniversary, and of course, this is the 10th anniversary of this album.
10th
anniversary.
That's number 10 appearing once again. It's like Sesame Street.
And it's such a big year for Janelle. I mean, she's got one of the biggest and best records of the year, and so it's cool to have the catalog available again.
Love it. Love the artwork. Super cool.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know these guys? Did you see this?
Hit me.
This is Los Amigos
No.
Invisibles. So, dude, I love this band, and this record is a party. This is a Venezuelan disco, funk,
Gozadera.
jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, this is their second album, and they got signed to the Waka Bop, David Byrne's label. This is 1998.
I was about to say.
And you know how David Byrne discovered them? This is so great.
He was at a party.
They would go into record stores wherever they were touring because they were already
Yeah.
their debut record was big in Venezuela, so they
Okay.
could go to New York and play and stuff.
Sure.
And they left copies of their CDs, like they're independently produced, just would leave them in record stores. So somebody would it was like, what? This looks
What
cool.
is
And they
this?
take it to account. What is this? I don't know. And they would end up saying David Byrne discovered them through picking up a disc that they hid at a record store and was blown away. I've seen these guys twice.
Really?
They are unbelievably fun live. I don't know of them coming to Houston anytime in recent years, but this is a really, really fun record. And you want to impress some friends with something they haven't heard before.
This is the one.
Boogie and fun. This is it. There's a little bit of psych, a little bit of jazz there. They won multiple Latin Grammys. They are a terrific band.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to check this one out for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and we have a couple of archival
Releases,
and the difference between that is this music has never been available before. The reissues, the stuff that is finally available again. This is stuff that has never been available, usually due to some unusual circumstance, and that is exactly what we're talking about here with Arthur Russell, which he's not a household name. You might not know Arthur Russell, but what you do need to know about him is he was really a New York in 70s and 80s New York musician, visionary musician, and the subject of a really, really great documentary called Wild Combination. And he was one of those guys. He recorded in multiple different genres. He had hits in the early days of the 12-inch with the kind of disco-y New York anti-disco type stuff. But he made this one record called World of Echo that really resonated with people. It was a big record. It's very cool. And this is, he passed, but this is unreleased recordings from those sessions that were missing for years, recently discovered, and now available again. Someone manages his estate and does a good job of curating his posthumous releases. And for his fans, this is a big deal. Album is Picture of a Bunny Rabbit. And he's a really, really interesting artist that nobody.
I don't know anything about.
He's cool. You would recognize the hit, which unfortunately I didn't make it out of the title, but the kind of 12-inch he had a club hit.
Okay.
But everything else is, sold some records, but not really. The documentary is great.
We're learning things.
I know. We got to sneak
We're
in
learning.
we got to sneak in some
This is like
academic
going to
rock and roll
college.
to you, something like it. Oh, look at the young Frank in this picture right here. I love this album title, Funky Nothingness. And this is a very early. So this is another situation where they didn't have the master tapes. They knew that this thing existed. They couldn't locate it. This is the 1970 lost LP that was supposed to follow Hot Rats, which is a very highly revered classic Zappa record. And of course, he worked so fast. If something sat around, he just moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
The guy released so many records while he was alive. and and then so many bootlegs and outtaking type stuff after his pass. But this thing's supposed to be great. The CD version has a whole nother disc of unreleased music, but I think for people that are big Zappa fans, this is a big deal. Lost No More.
Yeah, I was reading some of the titles. It's not like a Rolling Stone. It's I'm a Rolling Stone.
I love that. I'm a Rolling
that.
Stone. This picture on the back is super great. Show that.
Yeah.
And you even got the silver. Silver, and it might even be a little bit of embossment there. But you have these periods in artist careers where they're just like a fountain of creativity, and that's what, because this is sandwiched between that Chunga's Revenge record, which is another, he just was on a tear.
And I think he was one of the early guys to really kind of like build his own studio and just
absolutely
do the hermit thing and just pump out music like a lunatic.
Yeah, and contrary to what people think about him, or their thoughts are on him, he was not a substance abuse guy. He smoked, but did not drink, didn't do drugs.
Yeah.
He just worked.
Yep.
And that's why we have stuff like this.
Nice.
Okay, we've got a couple of jazz reissues for our viewers out here, and this is one of my favorite records. It seems like we talk about Bill Evans,
and I love it exactly.
But this record, this Waltz for Debbie record, this is a one of the records you have to own by the guy. And I know we say that a lot, but this is Waltz for Debbie is one of his classics. And check out the quote from Downbeat. Can you read that?
Yeah, where are we? The trio on Milestones, and for that matter, at most points throughout the album, is a deftly integrated unit.
Downbeat, 4 stars, Downbeat.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. Bill Evans, Scott LaFaro, and Paul Motion. There you
on
go.
Drums. And this is just one of those records. I could describe it, but you just need to hear it. And it's an easy listen. Super cool. One of the greatest.
Their 4th album.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the greatest musicians of the 20th century. Easy to dig.
Down, no problem.
Easy to dig.
Oof.
And now
chills.
Oof. And now we have Thelonious Monk, classic quartet. This Candid label. They finally started to reissue some of the stuff.
My dude.
What you need to know about this was recorded in Tokyo. This is for a TV broadcast, which sometimes music for broadcast does not sound so great. A lot of times it's mono. This is a great sounding recording, mastered by the great Bernie Grunman, that prepares many of your reissues for vinyl format in mono. But the thing that's notable about this, so this is he's one of those guys who kind of played, obviously a master, but he played a lot of the same sets over and over. This is supposedly one of the better sets, and he does a really bluesy version of, which track is it? It's Blue Monk. Yeah. So there's a very bluesy version of that, and people really kind of are attracted to that. And that hasn't been available on LP in decades. So now available for you again.
No.
And it's got the tip-on sleeve. We're talking about that.
Yeah.
Where they glue the slick to the outside of the cardboard jacket.
There it is.
Feels like 1950s or something.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
There you go.
We like that. All right.
We love that all day long.
And it's Ruben's vinyl ball.
It is. It's time for my vinyl ball.
It is time for the vinyl ball. We need a creaking sound of the vault being open.
Right.
Sound
Right. You can probably pull it off some Halloween website,
chilling sounds
of
the
Halloween.
vinyl ball.
You get one of those. All right, so this is the guy. He was only around for a minute. Is that the new Final Ball music? It could be. Feels a little happy. All right, so anyway, this is a cat by the name of Finley Quay. And the album is called Maverick A Strike. And I don't know if this is one of the deals where I was just like watching the MTV 120 minutes or something, like I often did, and went the next day and bought something that I saw there because, So 1997, I guess Sunday Shining, I think, was the single I heard, which was his interpretation of the Bob Marley. Doesn't sound exactly like the Bob Marley song, But I think he was writing and producing for some different people, or working or collaborating with some different people. And I want to say, for whatever reason, I think this started out as, and he was DJing. I think this started out as kind of like a little, not a mixtape, but it's like little demo tape that a couple of people had heard.
Yeah, because he was involved in product. Like he worked with like a guy called Gerald and a lot of the in British. That was like man, you had a lot. The Brits really kind of ran that scene back there. Oh, I forgot what the book looked like.
Yeah, and Quinn looked it up. So Scottish born.
He's Scottish,
right?
So it's not crap.
It's not. But anyway, so I was, this is just one of those albums that, like, and Quinn said also, talking right before, he goes, "This is a good summer album because you can put it on, and it's upbeat in places, it's mellow in other places." What I love about it, it's one of those albums that I never felt like I had to press the skip button. I could make it all the way through here, and you actually looked it up. There was what three
big
songs
hits on
that were a hit. Your Love Gets Sweeter Every Day, which I think not that long ago ended up in some commercial for, I'm just minding my own business. All of a sudden I hear the song, but it was a commercial for, I don't know, margarine or something like that. But I recommend it. I think he did a couple of more albums after this, and then he just kind of disappeared or went back to producing or whatever. And you said you found him as on some other artist projects as well. And he was a young guy when he did this. I mean, he was in his 20s, obviously, when he did this, but then never really heard anything from him, at least in the States. He could have been, massive in still.
Well, it's hard in the
UK.
States. You see over and over and over people that are a sensation in the UK. It's so hard to come to the States. Now they'll come to the States and they'll do TV.
Yeah.
And they'll do Chicago, New York, Boston, Philly, and then the West Coast. But it's a lot of travel and it's a lot of hard work over here. Versus if you're in the UK, you're going 10 kilometers
2 hours
to the next
you're
big
to a different
show.
country.
Yeah. So it's but you know what I love about this pick is you talk about your experience of buying it, the immediacy of that. Like, man, I saw this thing and it's different and I loved it. And I'll tell you, when this record came out, I was like, who is this guy? And like everybody wanted it like overnight. Like it was a big record and it was cool. We loved to play it in the store. And I immediately remembered it's like, oh, that's a good record. And it's always curious too, when artists kind of just have one big record and they don't really, I think for some that kind of floats the boat the whole way down the line. Yeah.
Or they kind of get pigeonholed into one sound and the fans want to hear that same sound again and again or whatever. But like you said, it's easier to tour in Europe and than coming over here to the States and drive coast to coast or do a big tour or whatever. I mean, there are people in the US that think, Jamiroquai is a one-hit wonder.
Right. Because it's too problematic for them to go
Hey,
there.
Jamiroquai?
Yeah.
Do you have any of his stuff actually?
I can look for you. Can you give me 2 minutes?
Yes, I actually have to go. I just heard it and I was
all
like,
right. Well, after you get out the bathroom, we'll see if we can track one down.
We're gonna get it for you.
Okay. Awesome. So customer service here is on another level. I just want you to know, because we're going to stop what we're doing.
I love it.
So yeah, but I mean, Jamiroquai's got quite a catalog, and up until recently, I think we're still touring.
Oh, they didn't stop. They made a record like every 3 to 5 years and keep.
And that's
touring.
not the name of the lead singer, by the way, in case you were wondering.
But the thing is, like, faced with that being over there and playing festivals and playing big shit, you come here, and you play in LA, and then you drive across the desert to Austin, or you might play Phoenix, and then you go to Austin, and then you got to go to New Orleans.
The only way you can the only way you can kind of pull it off is if you're like concentrated up there in the East Coast, because then you're doing
and you do
Boston, New York, Philly, DC. You have enough, and you've got all these colleges packed into those in and around those cities. You can do Syracuse, you can hop into Canada.
Well, me as a Paul Weller fan, I look at those tour dates, I'm like, he's never going to come here.
Right? Yeah, we're doomed.
Never.
He's like, you want us to go how far?
Never.
On a Wednesday night to where maybe nobody's going to show up? All right, what's coming up? Tell me there's a groovy in-store. Tell me there's something killer happening.
I want to tell everybody to pay attention to their socials, because there's some stuff that's embargoed, meaning we can't talk about it yet, but we've got some cool global listening parties, and we've got some product announcements, which we didn't feature it on the drop today, but we had a deal yesterday where we had the Lucy Bird album, and you got like a Yu-Gi-Oh card,
Yeah.
and they only sent us 60 copies, and they're gone.
Wow.
You know, so watch us on social so you know what's going on here, because we do get a lot of exclusive products. We're the
At
only
Cactus
people
Music.
in Houston that have it, and then events are coming. It's
I
good.
love
We
it.
got some fun stuff for you. How much time we got?
I don't know.
How we doing?
Oh, go. All right, great. We might be over, but this is big.
We're shooting from
Here we go.
Here. We're improvising.
Go for it.
We're showing you the Wham box set of 7-inch singles and cassette tapes just in from the UK. And we just had to show this because this is so cool. The documentary's out. Look at all this stuff. 7-inch single, 72-page book, cassette. You get the last Christmas greeting card.
Wow.
Isn't that sweet?
That's
And we were talking about these guys. I heard.
And there's only one of these here, right?
We
Because this
just
was a
have one.
customer,
Yeah, it's a customer
special
We
order.
can get
But it's
more of
super
them,
cool.
But it's not cheap.
Yeah. No. Prepare to
Super limited edition.
bring a gold bar with you when you come in. Mike Henry says happy Friday Eve. What's up, Mike? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for being here, buddy. We'll get some rain. I can hear it on the roof. All right, man. We're gonna jump off, guys. We'll see you next Thursday with more cool new music on the drop. Bye.